welcome back to Greenlands, and today's main job is going to be cutting the corn silage fields at our farm. But first up, I am going to sell a trailer load of fertilizer, and then we're going to put in the bunker silo down at the industrial VGA. I have decided to go for a bunker silo, and I'm going for the base game biggest planet one. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to take everything that we are going to make, but it seems pretty large, so we're going to give it a try. Need a little bit of landscaping around it, and then I have actually realized that the silage bales that we have up here are fermented as well. So we should get those into the BGA and get them processing, and to do that I'm going to bring some slurry over as well, because it makes sense to use that combined recipe because it's a little bit more profitable. So yeah, also trying to set up some auto drive stuff so that I can auto drive things down to the industrial area, and that doesn't really go so great. I get the route set up, but really struggle with that sharp junction in the town. It might be better if I go further on to the second junction, which is a little bit softer, but we will see. So I'm just setting up some pickup points as well, because it would be nice to be able to send a lorry up here to pick digestate up. I think actually what we should probably do is whatever digestate we generate up here, well, at the moment we have it set to distributing so that it goes to the dryer, but if we need to, we could just spread it on the mega field anyway. So I brought the Deutz up with the auto load trailer so that we can get these bales into the digester, get that going. We end up with a lot of stored electricity while the generators process, and really we should probably look at the possibility of putting in some more generators as well. I kind of want to wait and see if the gaps we have in producing silage to process mean that the generators just run continuously through the year, providing us with an income. I think that's kind of a sensible approach, but because they're expensive, they are expensive, so realistically we might have to bite the bullet and buy some more. I'm not sure, we will see. Oh, accidentally picked those two up, but yeah, we have a reasonable amount. I'm just reconfiguring this trailer with the silage sides on the side. So the plan is to run the rollant trailer on the back of the T7, and then the chromed forage trailer that we have on the Deutz. I need a weight for this guy. We have a lot of weights on the farm, but I always struggle to find them. So just having a look around, and actually what we're going to buy a new weight for the T7, I think. Going to use store deliveries to get it brought to us quicker, and this is from the Sintrack pack. I really like this weight. I used it a lot in FS19. I think it looks really cool. I could do with getting the New Holland blue power paint as an option, but for now we're going to go with that blue. It sort of works. And we're going to try and set up auto drive now. I had been trying to decide whether to use a pit or the fermenters for this, and I had decided to use the fermenters, but I forgot. So I set auto drive up to tip into this big empty silage clamp that we have, and then end up changing my mind after I've tipped a couple of loads. So we'll probably end up using this bunker for something else. I may end up using it to store silage bales, but yeah, for now I'm just getting auto drive set up with it, but I end up using the two fermenting silos that we've got on the farm. The reason I'm doing that is I want to keep this maize silage for when Maize Plus drops, and so it's figured it was easier to keep it in the fermenters, to keep it separate. And then I need to check actually how Maize Plus handles things like the fermenter. If it's not built in, I'm just going to add it in to the capability. I think Maize Plus will probably add it in. It certainly does for BGAs. It adds in all the different types of silage, so I'm need to have a look at that, but that's my plan. So I'm just going to open up a little bit of the field, and then we're going to stick the forage harvester on course plate initially, because I find auto drive struggles with headlands. So I'm going to cart for the first headland or two. What I do realize is that the auto drive has a setting for silage additive, and it seems to have defaulted to off. So we're not using up the silage additive that I've put in. I pick up on that in a minute, and I do fix it because the trailer is filling very quickly. And I don't fancy backing all the way down this field. We're not going to make it round the field. So in a moment I'm going to jump in the forage harvester, and we're going to run a bit of a cut in so that I've got some space to turn around, because no one wants to see me reverse that far. And as soon as I jump in, I start using silage additive. So yeah, gonna just check the settings in course play and change that. I had assumed it was because I have it set to not use fertilizer, but there is a specific setting for silage additive, so we've got that activated now, and we can get the forage harvester back on course play, and we'll just put a little bit more in the trailer, and then I am going to spin around and get this tipped in the bunker. And if I was going to keep using auto drive, probably what I should have done is tip that right at the back, not spread it out like I do when I'm doing it myself. That was part of what triggered me to remember that I'd planned to use the fermenting silos, is that when I go to use auto drive it gets a bit confused because there's already chaff at the front of the clamp. But anyway, we are nearly done with the first headland, and the next video I am not, so I could jump straight into doing the mega field, but I think back-to-back maize silage videos is going to be a little bit boring, maybe. I'm going to try and do that one slightly differently anyway, because I want to try and stick with one forage harvester, so are going to need to be a little bit clever. So I had a bit of an interruption. As I was saying, it's probably need to try and be a little bit clever, or I plan to try and be a little bit clever about how I manage keeping the forage harvester moving, carting, filling the bunker silo up, and yeah, so I'm pretty sure for that the harvester will be on course play, and I'll be managing the carting and the bunker and things, just because otherwise compacting that silo is going to be a crazy job. So I've now got both carters running on auto drive, and I am in the forage harvester. Auto drive gets a bit messy. It's been a while since I've used auto drive. I guess it hasn't, because I used it for carting on here, but it seems to like going off on random drives. Now the nice thing is that because it's a worker, it doesn't do any crop destruction, but because the hedges don't have collisions, it just has a bit of a free-for-all. What is quite nice is the T7 was well positioned to take over, but I just wanted to watch how the tipping went with auto drive into the clamp. And this is what reminded me that I actually plan to put it in the fermenting silo. But yeah, it's only going to tip it there. That's going to get really messy once we've harvested one fairly big field and one kind of medium-sized field. Particularly as it goes wrong trying to get out of the clamp. So I'm going to add in a spur off of here to go to the two fermenting silos. It'll be much easier, I think, to do that. And it fits in with my plan, so yeah. Because we're not going to sell any of this, we're going to keep it. So back to work, and we will see how the T7 does with getting to the fermenting silo. So the plan was to send one tractor to each fermenting silo. You will see when we get to that point that because of the way auto drive picks up triggers, it actually tips in the first fermenting silo sometimes. Just how auto drive works, there's a trigger, so thinks it's valid to tip into it. So just trying to get both of us around the headland without too much trouble. End up running this as kind of a lands harvest. I have found it's better with auto drive carters to not have to make them do sharp turns. You probably have experienced the same thing. So let's have a watch, and yeah, we tip in the first one. So what I'm going to do is jump into the settings for auto drive and reduce the distance it looks from the target for a tip point to 10 meters. Hopefully that will help. But there are some occasions where it goes into the wrong one. It doesn't matter. They're all at our fermenting silo. So yeah, you can see here I end up running along and doing a cut into the field, and auto drive does a brilliant job actually of getting the carter to follow me down here, although the tractor is pretty full, so it ends up having to reverse back a bit and cuts through the field because the Deutz was poised ready to take over. And yeah, I was really pleased with how auto drive managed the cutting. It was pretty impressive, and That means that once the carter is to the side of me, I can just keep turning right and just keep the carter on the outside. Or left. Left or right? Right. Yeah, I can just keep turning right and keep the carter on the outside of me, and that should make things run a bit smoother. It worked pretty well, actually. So because there are no collisions on the hedges, the carters do randomly wander around, but it's just part of life of dealing with auto drive. Completely unrelated topic. My family are away next week, so I'm going to have a bit more spare time, and I'm pondering streaming. You'll be seeing this on Friday, and if I start, I'll probably start on Saturday. It's not going to be a regular thing because my evenings I like to spend with my family. Just a quick thank you to the patrons and to the YouTube channel members. I do appreciate your support. But yeah, I'm thinking of doing it just while they're away, and I may sporadically, it's a good word, do it afterwards if it proves popular. But my thought is I'm going to set up a farm on a map that I've not played before. I'm not sure which one yet. And we're just going to run a farm for a little while and have some fun. So probably maybe 5 or 6 streams. So if it does well, I'll keep going. But yeah, that's my plan. I'm going to set a farm up and try some streaming. Maybe. It depends. If it dies horrendously on the first time I try, or I really struggle, I'll probably stop. If some of you watch it and I'm enjoying doing it, I might continue. I did try some streaming probably 9-10 years ago on Twitch. It bombed and died horrendously. It was a completely different game to this. It was that Battle Pirates game that I've mentioned a long time ago in random videos. But yeah, I'm going to give it a try. Maybe. Not committed yet. Not committed at all. Very much depends on how I feel in the evenings and whether I actually feel energetic enough to do it. And how the dogs behave, because I'll be at home as the only person to look after the dogs, and if they are restless in the evening and I can't get a couple of hours of peace and quiet to do it, then I won't be able to. They have to come first. But we'll see. So let's see if I can get a consistent enough run to finish recording this. This has been a 3-take job. Thankfully not retakes, but first field is almost done. A reasonably good yield off of here. The variation is just down to the soil type. So we had perfect. We didn't have perfectly perfect fertilization. We had perfect fertilization. We had good lime. So yeah. And that should all be pushing up our environmental score with precision farming, which will be nice for future sales, particularly when we sell all the silage off of the mega field. Thank you to those that answered the question about what we should plant in there next time. Looks like it's going to be a big soybean harvest, which should be interesting. We should get a lot of crop off of there. It means we don't need to apply nitrogen actually as well, which is interesting. It will, of course, mean we have to wait until summer to sell them, but is there soybean oil? I don't know. Geez, that would be a lot of soybean oil. Might have to have a look at that. That could be... we might need a modded production to do that, though. And I'll have to have a look at how much extra we would earn. But yeah, first field done. Getting late in the day, but next job I want to do is clear out that chaff that we tipped in here. I'm going to use the belt that we've got for that, just because it will make it way easier, because it picks stuff up off the floor. And that means it'll all go into the fermenting silos, and it'll keep that bunker clear. And I think probably we're going to end up putting wrapped silage bales in there when we do a second cut, because I'm only going to do enough hay to fill the bale shed, and beyond that we'll make silage bales. So, and there is some room in the shed for silage bales. Actually, there's room for about 500,000 litres of silage in there, so maybe we'll just use that, but I don't know. For now, our spare silage bales will end up going in there, I think. But that is that pit empty, so we can move on to the next field, which is field 50 something. I always forget which number it is because we don't do much with it. Field 55. So this was a field that I brought at the start because it was the only field on the map that was harvestable that had a crop in it that produced straw. Hadn't planned to buy it, but we needed a straw crop for the cows. So yeah, and I'm gonna run the forager on course play for this one, and I'm not going to show too much because literally you've just watched 15 minutes of me harvesting the same crop. So did a quick repair on the Deutz because it was getting a bit battered. It's still looking a bit battered, but that's the trailer. Actually, that's fuel that's low. Ignore me, it's fine. Yeah, trying to keep the vehicles repaired, but it is obviously costing a lot of money. I missed it at some point when I was waffling away. I paid another $250,000 off of the loan as well, which is why the money dropped so much. So we're down to £8.75 million on the loan. We're making progress. Progress has definitely picked up. Something I need to do at some point, and annoyingly I haven't kept track of it, is kind of plot how quickly we're paying this back. Because I think that would be quite interesting, because it might give us a projection of when we think we'll have the loan paid off, unless I buy stuff. But yeah, so if anyone's been really paying attention and can tell me when I made payments on the loan, that would be really useful. Because I don't fancy going back and watching 20 odd episodes. Probably only about 10 episodes, but yeah, if anyone can remember when I made repayments on the loan, then please shout. So forage for maize silage for the farm is done. We still have the mega field. I'm going to do that in a couple of videos time so that we're not doing back-to-back maize silage harvests. But I will say at this point, thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, and I'll catch you next time on Greenlands. About 1 million litres off of that. Nice.